5,000 people under the age of 21 die every year from alcohol-related injuries. The problems with underage drinking on this special edition of Case Closed. Underage drinking, it is a problem, and today we're going to talk about the problem and hopefully come up with some solutions. Joining me on the panel today on this special edition of Case Closed, first, Officer Jodi Walny. She is with the Warren Police Department from the DARE unit. Also, Jamie Siefert, the Project Remedy Supervisor for CARE, and my good friend, Judge Matthew Sabaugh, recently elected to this court, Warren Court. First of all, congratulations on your appointment, I should say. Judge, let me start with you. The problem with underage drinking, is it really a problem?
It is a problem, Charlie.
Why?
And it is, first of all, it is against the law for minors to drink alcohol or consume alcohol or have it in their possession. But I want to start with, and I want to welcome you to the 37th District Court where we're holding this special edition. And I handle a lot of criminal cases as a judge, and I also handle civil cases. But as I've also prosecuted cases before I was a judge as a prosecutor. And I can tell you that by far the majority of the cases that are here in district court are related either to alcohol or drugs. And the defendants that we see oftentimes start drinking at a young age.
How young?
I see cases of people starting to drink as young as 12 and 13.
12 and 13 years old?
And often they start when they're in high school as teenagers. And what we're seeing is that these people, when they start to drink at that young of age, it starts to affect their decision-making processes.
What is the law? Can someone under the age of 21 have any amount of alcohol in their system?
No. The law in Michigan is zero tolerance. And that includes anyone they don't have to be driving. If they're under 21, they can't have any alcohol in their system. If they're driving, they could also be punished for driving under the influence as a minor with any, it's called BAC, bodily alcohol content. And the level that the state sets is 0.02, which could be as much as one drink or even less than one drink. And I think the officer can clear that up more also.
Officer Walny,
yes.
Tell us what is really, in your experience, these minors are drinking and they're driving as well. What's the problem there?
Well, like Judge Sabaugh was saying, Judge Matthew was saying, that it affects their judgment and it affects their coordination. It affects several things, not to mention their health, as Jamie will probably mention as well. Especially at a young age, it's even worse on a juvenile or a younger person as they're developing and growing physically, mentally, that it actually can cause damage and cause them more problems.
Okay, I said in the beginning that 5,000 people under the age of 21 die every year from alcohol-related injuries. Jamie, is that true statistic?
That's not exaggerated at all. We're certainly finding that, and the Judge and I were talking earlier, and he mentioned the crash fatality that happened in Roseville earlier this year, where the 4 students from Lakeshore High School were killed by a drunk driver. They were not drinking themselves, but happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So the issue is underage drinking, but that opens the bigger issue of it being a societal problem. We want to bring it down to the community. We want to bring it down to the city of Warren itself and get to that point that this community can send a message that says this is unacceptable here.
Judge, have you seen a problem particularly in this community, the community of Warren, where we've got people younger and younger starting to drink?
I'm seeing a number of students from the area high schools before me for a minor in possession charge. And I'm also seeing, as I said, these are decisions that they're going to be making at a young age that are going to follow them. Okay, that could first of all, could land them in jail with a criminal history. They could lose their license, and I'll talk more about that later. They could lose a college scholarship. These are decisions that young people, I don't think they understand the ramifications of using alcohol, and I think partly it's a result of maybe the fact that certainly it's legal and readily available to adults, and also that it's widely accepted and also advertised on television and during sports shows and that sort of thing.
It's glamorous to drink, and
it may be glamorous on the programs, but I think if you come and sat in this courtroom for a day, Charlie, you'd realize that the consequences are real and are devastating on families. And I see people older who are hardcore alcoholics who they want help, but they just can't stop. And it often starts at that early age.
Officer, you go into as part of the DARE program, you actually go into the high schools. Actually, you go into elementary school.
Yes, and it's amazing the mindset that these kids have about alcohol.
What do they think?
They think that, well, we do a survey. I do 2 lessons on alcohol, and we talk about the media and the influence media has on alcohol, and we talk about what they think or what they've experienced about alcohol and what they think that people do. Is it popular to drink? And I ask them the question, how many 8th graders do they think have drank in the past 30 days? And it's unbelievable how many students, without discussing it, you'll see answers like 80% of the 8th graders, some will put 100%. These kids think that 8th graders, 100% of them drink.
That's not even high school yet.
Right.
So we're talking about probably 14-ish, 15?
No, these kids are 9 and 10.
9 and 10.
And this is their perception about alcohol. They don't think it's dangerous. They see everybody having fun on the TV programs and the media and the advertisement. And so part of my program is to educate them that isn't correct, that the numbers are lower. It's not the popular thing to do. But these kids come in and they have no idea, and so they could easily fall victim to the pressures of drinking because I think everybody's doing it.
Jamie, where are the parents of these
always a good
young
question.
people?
Society has changed so much, Charlie, over the years. In my generation, I knew very well that if I got caught, I was in bigger trouble at home than I would have ever been sitting in front of a judge. You know, today's parents tend to, I think, bail their kids out a lot more. We're a lot more intent on being our children's friends. Our kids don't need more friends. They need parents. They need those that set the rule, that walk the talk, that know what the guidelines are, and that have that conversation with them.
Can the parents get in trouble if their minor drinks?
Absolutely. It's illegal to furnish alcohol to a minor. And I think most parents agree that it's wrong to serve minors. But the opposite of that is that most of these kids are getting the alcohol from someone they know, either a family member or a relative. And so the parents, or anyone else for that matter, any adult that should furnish alcohol to a minor, could be charged with a misdemeanor charge.
Is that a jail?
And
possible
that is
jail?
a jailable offense.
Yes.
On the first offense, they could be fined up to $1,000. They could be sent to jail for 60 days. If they had a second or subsequent offense, they could be fined up to $2,500, and they could be sent to jail for 90 days. If you have a party, if you should host a party as a parent, and there's kids drinking, and one of those kids should go out and cause damage or crash a car, anything like that, you could be civilly liable and sued for those damages, because
like
you have that
Yes.
that responsibility as the adult. And in a case, if it were, God forbid, to have happened where one of the kids at the party went and killed someone or killed themselves as a result of that alcohol consumption, the parent or adult who hosted that party could be charged with a felony, punishable by up to 10 years in prison. So it's definitely serious. Michigan has one of the strongest laws in the country. And again, it's the result of the real world consequences that we're seeing out there of how it is affecting our community.
Any thought about reducing the age of 21 for, oh my God, I'm getting, oh no. To take away the stigma. Because we're saying here the kids glamorize this, is from what I'm hearing, that every kid knows it's against the law, right?
If you bring it down to 18, you'll have alcohol in the high schools.
We haven't had one. Oh, I mean, actually.
But I mean, actually, you'll have someone legally able to possess alcohol, and they're high school students.
Charlie, do you remember back in, I believe it was 1979, there was about a 3-year period there where we lowered the drinking age in Michigan to 18?
Yep.
Ask any high school teacher at that time, and they will tell you that most of that senior, part of the junior class, came back after lunch after having a drink. I mean, it was
And then trying
ridiculous.
studies and academics. And
Well, kids are still developing. Their brain is still developing up
Exactly.
until they're in their early 20s. And so if you start drinking at that early age, it could affect your long-term brain function. And it also, the studies are very consistent in saying that the earlier you start to drink, the more likely it is that later on in life you could be an alcohol abuser or an alcoholic.
Judge, you gave me some statistics earlier. You said, Judge, alcohol is a factor in about 4 out of every 10 deaths from car crashes, drownings, burns, falls, and other unintentional injuries. No doubt about it.
No doubt about it, Charlie. And even suicide, when you think about the effects of alcohol on a young person that's already depressed, and it is a depressant, they found that can be a contributing factor.
How can we get to these kids to make them understand? Because that's really the problem. Let's hold that thought for one moment. We're going to take a quick break. We will come back. There are solutions to underage drinking, and we'll discuss those on this special edition of Case Closed. The problems with underage drinking, it is a serious problem, and we are continuing this special edition of Case Closed, discussing the problem and coming up with some solutions. Judge Matthew Sabaugh of the Warren District Court, I want to know, tell me, what kind of trouble can I get into if I am a minor and I've been drinking?
Well, Charlie, the law does provide penalties for the first offense. A minor could be fined up to a $100 fine, but they could also be sentenced to probation and also community service, as well as to get an alcohol assessment and possibly treatment. The goal of the court is to make sure that the person is appropriately punished, but also to provide some rehabilitation so that they can rehabilitate themselves and be productive. We're hoping to provide a safe community by making sure that young people, when they get into trouble, find ways out through the community resources.
And even a first offense, it's a money issue too, isn't it?
On a second offense, for instance, of minor in possession, you could be fined up to $200, but there's also up to 30 days in jail you could serve for that offense if you violated the terms of your probation. So the judges, the law is giving judges more discretion to punish these offenders as they repeat the offense. On a third offense, for instance, for minor in possession, you could be fined up to $500 and you could be sentenced to jail up to 60 days if you violated the probation. So there really is some teeth in these new laws.
And how long can you be on probation?
The district court could hold you on probation for up to 2 years.
And then you have to report, you have to go through programs, you have to go through various alcohol abuse assessments and all that kind of stuff. And you've got to pay for it too, plus a lawyer fee, attorney fees.
On a second offense, drunk driving, you could have your driver's license suspended for up to 90 days. On a third offense, you could have your driver's license suspended for up to 1 year. So the penalties are real, and they can affect their lives have a part-time job, to commute to and from school. These are all factors. Something that may appear just to be one bad mistake could really affect you for a long time.
And if you don't think that that is true, the worst of the worst will be in jail.